Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Todd Nilsson, and this is Talk About Your Community, a LinkedIn live stream sponsored by Clocktower Advisors, a global consultancy for online community strategy. I am super glad you're able to join me this Friday. I've been doing mostly Friday streams. My original plan was to do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but the scheduling has been a little tough in this season of conferences and busy consulting work. If you are here for the first time, I'm really glad you're here. Welcome. I do love live comments in the course of the stream and try to bring them in and try to answer everybody who has a comment to offer. I am very pleased today to be welcoming as my guest Deb Schell from Find Calm Here LLC. Deb is an amazing person that I've just gotten to know a little bit better over the last couple of weeks. And she does a lot of work in paid communities and particularly, I think, with Mighty Networks, but I think you're branching out to some other platforms as well now. Deb, welcome to the show.
Hey, Todd. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to chat
Super
about
great.
community.
Yeah, no, it's super great to see you. I did want to make note, starting at the beginning of this. I know you had some hairstyle changes recently, and you wanted to offer some support for a friend. I didn't know if you wanted to give a quick shout out.
Yeah, that's fine. A lot of people know me with my curls, my curly hair, my crazy hairdos. I usually get a style, and my awesome stylist in Harrisburg usually hooks me up, and I post it. And so that's like been a thing for a long time. But this year, a couple of my friends have been really struggling with cancer. 3 of my best friends actually. And going through chemotherapy. So to support them, I wanted to do this. So I shaved my head, which is a super weird feeling.
I think that's amazing. I, for one, am a fan of the shaved head, so it works out really well. But the hair care is a lot easier this way.
Right? I took it. I mean, I was fast with taking a shower anyhow, but like now it's like super fast.
Right?
And I'm saving a bunch of money on shampoo.
There you go. Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was excited to have you on the show because I think there are many entrepreneurs and startups out there that are thinking about doing an online community. They want to do a paid version of an online community. And because you've been there and you've done that and you've been in the trenches, I really wanted to kind of hear your story about how you got started with Find Calm Here and kind of how you've turned that into a consultancy to help others who are entrepreneurs and just starting up their business.
Yeah, well, I'll go a little bit deep into the history. And basically, the beginning of it was an idea that I wanted to help my friends and family find some calm in their life. And to do that, I wanted to share with them resources that helped me in the last couple years. And some of those were products and some of those were services. And I also have a passion for supporting local businesses. And so I connected my local business owners with my community. And we had an in-person event in November of 2019. So about a year, 2 years ago, this month was the first actual Find Calm Here event. It was in my apartment and it was 10 people. We had a 5-hour workshop and we did all kinds of fun self-care and learning about meditation and yoga. And from that kind of came, and people liked that and enjoyed that. So from that kind of came a thought of, well, I could do reoccurring events and maybe get enough interest that maybe we could then charge for something down the road. And this is kind of like a fun idea. Yeah. And then I had an event in January of 2020 and another self-care workshop, and that went really well. And then I was going to do one in April. I wanted to do a vision board because a lot of people know, if you know me, you know I do some vision boarding. And that was something that I was passionate about and wanted to share with people. But then this whole thing happened with the COVID. So that kind of changed some of my plans, obviously. But it turned out to be a really good thing because then I started doing virtual. I spent so much time with networking with other entrepreneurs to figure out how these people are pivoting. People who are much more experienced than me in this are pivoting during this time. And this is like March, talking March and April and May in 2020. And I got so much feedback around how powerful and amazing personally that I experienced in workshops, the transformation that can happen in a virtual setting. And so that's why I really thought, okay, well, I can do this virtually. And now I have a roadmap. I got on a call with a CEO and he was like, what's your idea? I told him my idea. He's like, that sounds like an amazing idea. And he gave me a game plan. And so that's kind of where I came up with like virtual events. And so then over the course of 2020, I've led over 30 virtual events with I recruited about 45 to 50 speakers in total. And we had a virtual summit in June of 2020 where I had 15 speakers and we had about 65 live attendees. And then a bunch of people watched the replay. And that was supposed to be my intro to community as a community builder, because my intention and idea was, hey, I'm going to offer this online community where not only will you be able to have and join into these workshops, but you'll also be able to connect with these people anytime, and you can tap into them, and it's expanding your network, people that you might not ever meet, people that I've met through my networking that you might not ever meet. And then I thought it was this great idea and I thought I could charge for it and all this good stuff. But it failed. It didn't work. I didn't have any paid members after my first launch and I was pretty devastated. But what happened was I learned a lot over the time. And I started to have people asking me because they saw what I was doing and I was moving a million miles an hour, as a lot of entrepreneurs do. And I was just like, this is what I've done. And people have been asking me to help them. So I started, and my friend said, the one person in my community said, well, you should get paid to do this. In the same time, I was leading I had started a Mighty Network because of the fact that I had been a member of a Mighty Network in a community, and that's how it helped me transition from my corporate 9-to-5 job to my location independent lifestyle. That community was called Location Indie, and that community really was pivotal, and that was really what introduced me to the power of community online, because I networked with people that were on a global scale, that were traveling internationally, starting businesses and doing things like six-figure businesses that I didn't even fathom to do at the time. And so that really inspired me. And so that's why I went to the Mighty Network platform, because I was already kind of familiar with it. And it had a lot of features of being able to charge for different options of like memberships or, different areas of the community where you could charge for groups. And in the spring, when I was first starting to build my community out, as I had these ideas around the workshops and I was recruiting some speakers at the same time, I had a community design, what they call now the accelerator, but it was called last year the Community Design Masterclass. And so that was through the Mighty Networks. And I met a bunch of people in that workshop. It was a 5-week workshop. And I met a bunch of people in that workshop that wanted to connect after the 5 weeks. And a couple people posted in this community and said, we'd like to connect, but we don't know how. And I already built my community out. I already had a Zoom. I already knew how to like put recordings and all that kind of stuff up. And the tech things were a struggle for those people, for a couple of those people. And so I said, well, I'm happy to do this. And what happened was I started working with community builders every week from June until December of 2020. And those people ended up becoming my ideal client and my ideal member. And my transition from a wellness community went from a wellness community in 2020 to 2021. I worked with what is now called the Mighty Mastermind, which is the group of members of community builders. And together, they helped me develop a roadmap and a plan for relaunching my community, which I did in June of 2021 with a strategic plan. And after I had feedback and I had testimonials and I had support and I had a lot more experience, then I had a successful launch. And it taught me a lot around how important discovery is and identifying your strategy before you kind of go out there. And like, it's great to have an idea, but what I really learned was that I needed to have a solid strategy of who I bring together, why, and for what reason, and what we're going to do inside the community. Why would somebody want to give me their time? Because time is something you can never get back. So why would somebody want to give me their time? And so I had to like validate those things. And the Mighty Mastermind members actually helped me do that in what we call a growth seat. And I can go into that later if you want. But that kind of gives you a little bit of background on like where I came from a long time ago, about 2 years ago, to today. We have a solid, really amazing group of community members inside Find Calm here, and doing lots of amazing things. They've helped me co-create content inside the community, and I'm excited to I just put a blog post up for some really awesome new guides, which I call the Calm guides, to different aspects of community building. So that's a long story, but kind of gives you an idea.
What an incredible journey, though, and thank you for sharing that with us. And as someone who's set up and run and like you failed at and had varying levels of success with online event building and trying to build that kind of engagement and involvement and to keep people going in a community over time, that's really challenging to do. But I mean, I think all of us have to kind of go through that school of hard knocks first, to really sort of get how best to engage people in online settings, because it's not entirely natural for a lot of people. They have trouble wrapping their head around, what I do in a community. Like, they'll get social media to an extent, like I can share stuff up here and I can maybe have some interactions with people, but communities are a little more purpose built, like you said, that there's a strategy that goes into those, and it's not, communities aren't for everybody at the party. They're for people that have some commonalities, and they're trying to get something done, and they're passionate about something, and I think you really tapped into that. I think that's maybe what you were getting at with the community seat idea. Is that what you were saying?
The growth, what we call now the growth
seat.
seat, is an opportunity for the Mighty Mastermind is 90 days, and over those 90 days, the members of I'm running the second Mighty Mastermind currently now. We just started at the end of October. And there's 5 members in there. And what we do is we set a goal for their 90 days of what they'd like to do in their community, whether it's growth of their community, like more members, or maybe they're launching their community for the first time, or maybe they're just trying to get clear on the structure of what the heck am I going to do? I really like the idea of a community, but I don't know how it's all going to work. And so either way, wherever they are in that process, we get a goal set, and then we start. This past week, we just talked about, well, how are we actually implementing this? Okay, this is a great goal, but how am I going to get it done between working a full-time job or kids or life in general? How do we get that done? And then the other opportunity is for us, okay, now I've got a plan for my next 90 days. And I'm going to present that to my group, to my Mighty Mastermind members, so they can give me feedback. What are your thoughts around my pricing? What are your thoughts around what benefits and features I'm going to offer inside my community? Is it of value? Is it worth it for people that I'm telling you are my ideal members to want to invest money and time to spend inside the community? And so then we can go back and forth, and people in our community have given really great feedback that then, and for me too, what has helped me is that feedback alone is how I then really had a good solid plan, because I validated it. I got people to say, Deb, this sounds great. And I got that right from my ideal members,
That's amazing. So I've got a couple of specific directions I'd like to go with this,
Yep.
just to dig a little deeper. So the entrepreneurs you're working with, are these usually like solopreneurs who have an idea and they're trying to get it off the ground, or are they part of a larger group, or does it kind of run the gamut?
So most of the people I work with are solo entrepreneurs. They have a business and they're trying to figure out how to stop trading so much time for money. So if I'm a consultant or a coach and I have lots of clients, or maybe I don't have a lot of clients, but I want to grow clients, but I don't want to keep saying, every client is 1 hour and that's 20 hours of my life. Well, instead of that, if I could bring together people in a coaching program where I can spend 1 hour and talk to 20 people, how awesome, and then be able to make that much money, how awesome would that be? So that's one aspect of people that I work with, is people that want to bring together into a membership where they're kind of doing maybe a group coaching or some kind of group collaboration. And then there's other people who have a course or instructional material. And so Mighty Networks actually has the ability to have live courses inside the network. So everything is inclusive inside.
They have their own e-learning platform.
They have their e-learning platform, what they call, courses, but you could use it. You could use that feature in a lot of different ways. And so it's really, the nice thing about Mighty Networks is it's complicated, which is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck with that stuff, because they have an idea, but they don't know how to like make it happen inside the network, like technically. But it has so many features because it gives you the benefit of it's flexible. It can mold to whatever you really want to make it in a lot of ways. So if they didn't have a lot of those features and it was really simplistic, then there will be 17,000 people saying, well, what about this? And I want to do, and they already have that. So anyway, yeah, there's course ability. They have live. They just introduced live feed in the courses. They're going to be they just launched international currency, so you can charge in international currency. There's a lot of that platform. Muddy Networks just got about, I think it's 60 million or something in funding and in VC funding for the platform to expand. So
Oh,
there's
I
going to
didn't
be
know
a
that.
lot
Okay.
going on
Yeah.
in 2021 and 2020. In the next 2 months, probably in the balance of 2021, is when they're going to make some major platform changes.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you answered. So part of that question
Part of the
was
question.
you answered about sort of like the kinds of entrepreneurs that are coming your direction, which is amazing and kind of what I was expecting. And you were getting into answering the second part of what I was going to ask. So you're reading my mind. Thank you for that. Which is like if I'm an entrepreneur, and I run my own solo business. Part of it is you always feel like your time is cannibalized, right? You're doing one thing and then you're sacrificing time on something else. You always feel like you're kind of making up space. The entrepreneurs who are coming to you for this, they're setting up community. They see community as it's going to be the tip of the spear for their business idea, for their program. They're actually thinking of a community led or community first kind of business model. Is that
I
true?
work with a lot of people that have different perspectives on how it relates to their business. But my goal is, and I trained a lot with CMX. If you are familiar with CMX's, they train community managers. And a lot of what I wanted to do was actually become a community manager for a tech company. And I had been applying to companies in the past year and not getting hired. And what I realized was the universe was just telling me that I really am good at consulting and I should stick with that. So
Right
that's
on,
kind of
right
where
on.
I'm at. I'm jumping off the diving board and not applying to, anything like that. But what I was, oh, no, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But going back to just community management, I was training and learning that people want to connect their business model ideas and how their business goals connect with community goals. So
Mhm.
are your goals in alignment? And it's kind of like what they teach in CMX, but they teach it for tech and large organizations. And so what I do is I take those programs and structures and frameworks and I actually kind of customize them for people like an entrepreneur, speakers, authors, leaders, that are wanting to bring people together in a community, but they need to make some kind of an income off of it. It can't just be like it's just an additional expense. They need some kind of income, but it's not the only income. So it's a pillar, not the only thing they're doing. So I think that there's a distinction there because I've met a lot of people that the community is their only thing. And if they don't have other areas and they're trying to depend on that, then it gets a little in a risky situation. But I guess I don't know what
Yeah.
other word to say that would be,
Well,
but
it's like any business strategy. If you haven't diversified,
yeah,
strategies about.
diversification of income is the best way to go. And there's so many flexible ways to do that with community because you could charge for membership, you could charge for a course, you could charge for a course and membership, you could have mastermind groups like I'm doing and charge for that. There's just like so many different ways an entrepreneur can make additional money. Whether it's the question that comes into play of how involved do you want to be in a community? How much time do you have to commit to a community?
Yes.
It
Yes.
does take quite a bit of time in the beginning. Like there's a sentence that Gina, who's the CEO of Money Networks, she says a lot. A community that will pay, runs itself and pays and you can charge for it. I forget how she says it, but anyway, I'm butchering that quote. But she says a community that'll run itself. Well, it doesn't run itself. I'm going to tell you right now,
Right.
that's not how it works. Not in the very beginning.
I,
And most of the
never,
people I
never in the
know,
history of communities have I ever run into a community that runs
no,
itself.
it doesn't work that
Yeah.
way. Now, you can have all the automated systems in the world, but that's not going to be helpful when you're trying to communicate and connect with people. or we want to connect with people. And so a lot of the let's just say a lot of the people in this space for entrepreneurial communities are talking about automation and systems and processes and email sequences. And while that's I got kind of stuck in that whole trap as well last year, which is why I kind of got stressed. And a lot of why I stuck with the name Find Calm Here is because I learned that I didn't need all of that. And I actually needed a lot less than I thought I needed. And so what I really help clients with in strategy is, what do you actually need to get to your goal? And then let's talk about all the great ideas you have, but let's put into perspective on a roadmap of what that looks like over the next 30, 60, 90 days or longer. Because you can't get everything done in this amount of, you can't build, launch, and grow a mighty network in 2 weeks. It's just,
Right.
and expect it to have amazing success. Now, I have a client that's an author that has an amazing community that we're transitioning over to a paid from a free to a paid right now, and I'm in the process of helping transition that community. And that's been a great experience to see all of these amazing community members and how interactive they are and interested in participating in the network. But it takes time.
I want to ask about that. So if someone is running a free community platform and they want to transition that to a paid community, what kinds of things does somebody need to start thinking about to make that transition happen? Because you don't want to turn off the people that have been there free and have found value in doing that. Like, do you turn it to a freemium model and still have like some free element of it, or like how do you communicate that change in a way that doesn't turn people away or turn them off?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what your messaging is and what your goals and ideas and concepts are around how you want to connect with people.
Mhm.
If you're doing a lot of social media, you're giving a lot away already. Like, to me, I feel like that's where you give your free content. You give your free content on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or whatever, Twitter, or whatever platforms you're on. When you're talking about a community and you're spending so much time and energy and money invested in it, that shouldn't be free. It just should never be, in my opinion. Now, that is not a tech company that's making millions of dollars and support and offering a support community. I want to clarify that, because there's a lot in the community. There's a lot of people in the community space that think that community should always be free. But the model for free is talking about a tech company or some large organization that wants to provide support. And the benefit is they're getting the less calls to their text, to their support
Right.
system, or they're some kind of other, they're increasing their sales, and they're being able to provide a return on investment, and all of those things that David Spinks and everybody else in that space talks about. Now, this is a completely different space, and so I just want to clarify that for other people that might be listening, they're community builders, and just say, I believe that as an entrepreneur, if you're going to invest all this time, money, and energy into a community, you have to charge something for it, unless you're wanting to give it away because you're passionate, and that's a different thing. But as a business owner, I feel like you need to charge something for it. And to transition from free to a paid, one of the things that I'm working with, a different, not that client, but well, that client too, actually, I was doing surveys, and we got so many responses. We just put surveys through emails and through a Facebook group, or through his community, and said, hey, would you just give us some feedback? And from that, we were able to decide, well, how much do we want to charge? How much are people saying that they would pay for this, what we're telling them we're going to offer? You can get some
Mhm.
validation right off the beginning before you even launch, because then you're kind of seeing where everybody's at with what you're doing. You're also able to see the activity engagement levels, because if you get a lot of responses from people, like the one survey we put out to this person's email address, we got over 60 responses.
Wow.
And there's questions that they had paragraphs that they could write. We can use that copy in so many different ways. So now we have not just something that gives us validation and deciding on what steps are next for a community, but also you can use that going forward as community content. You can use it in a lot of other aspects of marketing. So when I'm talking to somebody about transitioning from a free to a paid, to answer your question directly, is to say, I think a lot of it is just discovery, to get some validation around first, before you present to anyone, what is it you need from this? So I usually first ask the client, what is the bottom line here for you as a financially, like that you need to get from this? And then let's start from that.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
let's go to, okay, well, what does that mean? So if I need $2,000 a month from this to make it profitable enough for me to do this, or to pay somebody to make it, to help me as a community manager or virtual assistant, then what does that mean? Do I
Mhm.
need to get 500 people at $50 a person? Are those 50 people going to be active? Is that what I want to work with? Or do I want to charge a higher price? And so those are the conversations I have in strategy sessions with people around, do you want to charge something a higher price with and work with less people? Or
Mhm.
do you wanna charge a lower price and bring in more people? But then maybe that means additional other things have to happen. So it's a perspective of looking through those 2 different lenses and saying, "Well, which direction do, as a host, as somebody who's a leader, what do I want to do, and how much time do I have to invest in this area? And what am I willing to give and participate in?" And then what do members actually want? And that's what you can get from the survey. And then you can even out and say, well, where do these two things connect? So, how does my business goal align with my community goals? And how can I make those work together in sync instead of like competing with each other? Right.
Yeah. I'm reminded of a quote that I've referred to from time to time, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but I'll try to paraphrase it. It's from Ram Sethi, I'll teach you to be rich. But he says something to the effect of, very much along with lines of what you said, I would rather have 100 highly committed people than 1,000 signups, for something, and that idea of like figuring out how large that group needs to be, and then understanding, from an economic perspective for them, what's it worth for them to be in that tighter knit community with more committed people. I think, there is an interesting lever, to be applied there. Like, as a member of this community, am I going to, what level do I value it enough that I'm going to pay, a certain amount of money to be in that space? Like, do I see the value coming from it? Do I see the potential for what that is? And then, like, because I'm paying money for that space, you know, that's a different mindset than if I'm just joining a community for free. Like, I've put some of myself into this, and like I want to get something out of it, and I almost feel a sense of solidarity with other people that put forward the money to be in that community as well.
And it's
It's
about
really
accountability and showing up because honestly, I'm in a bazillion, I can't even tell you how many Facebook groups. I even have my own Facebook group for hiking. And I'm not active in these Facebook groups. I just don't have time. I'm in a lot of other communities too that are in Mighty Networks, and I'm on in some circles and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And it really comes down to how much time and energy and where am I getting the most value. And if I'm going to invest in something, well, to me as an entrepreneur, it has to make sense for me to be able to show up on a call. I don't have, maybe a couple, last 2 years ago, I had time to just show up on calls, and sometimes I do, but not to that magnitude, I guess I would say. I've got to know that I'm getting something in return. And it's also, I show up. Like, if I know I paid $2,000 for a course, you better believe I'm showing up to those,
Right,
because that's a
right.
huge investment for somebody like me who is just starting out in my second year. This is my official second year of business. Actually, first full year of business. I'm going into my second year.
Very
So
good. Very
brand new, and got to know where I'm spending that time and money.
well, Deb, I think you're amazing. I think the community space is richer for having you in it. And I love the name of the business around finding calm. And I think it's such an important thing for us to remember all of the time, with all, like, especially all the demands on our times, for entrepreneurs like you and me, um, taking that time to step away and to breathe and to remember, the things that are most important to us, that we have. It's such an incredible message. And I'm really glad you were able to join me on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me. And I'm excited for you to come on the Find Calm Here podcast. And we're going to
Yes,
chat about that next week.
that's going to be awesome. So Deb, if someone wants to get in touch with you, if they're interested, if they're an entrepreneur that's looking to get something started, what's the best way to reach out to you?
findscalmhere.com. findscomhere.com, or look my LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn. Just look me up. My LinkedIn profile is Deb Schell. So I'm sure you'll be able to find me there as well if you want to connect with me and direct message me and set up. I can send you the calendar. But if you go to findcomhere.com, you'll get my calendar to book a free 30-minute free discovery call.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Deb. That's great. I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Valentina Raffoni from Disciple Media is on the stream today. She chimed in. Hello, great to see you. I know we had some other people that were jumping in as well. So if you drop a comment out on the stream, this is a little Easter egg at the end of the stream here. I'm still giving away some NFTs from my stream last week. With Donnie Weinstein. So I still have some of those left. I'm only minting 100 of those. They're little social tokens as mementos for jumping on my stream. So if you drop a comment up there, I will send you your own link to claim your own NFT if you want to get in and figure out what those are all about. This is a quick, easy way to do that and start thinking about it. And in the meantime, I hope that if any of you catch this on the replay, it's an open offer as well. Please drop it in there. I would also be remiss if I did not put a plug in for the Monday live stream show. I am going to be doing a Monday live stream, and it's going to be with Nicolette from Disciple Media. She's going to be talking about the harvest, not the autumn harvest, but the harvest, the fourth quarter event for Disciple Media, where they talk about some of their new things that are coming out. And it is absolutely a fun time. I've been on some previous events like this. They are really terrific. So please jump into the collective and check that out. But on Monday, it'll be the live stream with Nicoletta, and I'm going to be chatting with her about some of the things that are coming down on that particular platform. Disciple is a partner, and I'm very happy to highlight some of the things that they do. Lisa Kramer, thank you so much for chiming in on the stream as well. I will message you with a link to claim your NFT as well. And in the meantime, I hope all of you have a restful, calm weekend. And Deb, I'm looking forward to seeing and working with you again very, very soon. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Take care.